You're going to be upside down. You're going to be in a hole. You're going to be in a mine. You're going to be cleaning skulls. You're going to be retrieving golf balls from alligator infested swamps, right? You're going to be in the Everglades. The crocodile is going to bite you. The shark is going, you're going to test a shark suit for Shark Week. You're going to get bit on purpose by a shark and shook like a tug toy. You're going to pee in your wetsuit in fear. All these things are going to happen. But you're going to get paid and people are going to watch. And the show is going to give you permission to do a bunch of stuff. It's a totally different deal, totally different model. And, I feel super fortunate that all worked out. But that's a peripeteia.
Interesting.
You think you're tied off. You're not.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot about how important sleep is, but summer is one of those times where it gets harder to protect. It's hotter at night, schedules get thrown off, travel picks up, and if your mattress is not working for you, you feel it fast. That's why I like Helix. Helix has over 20 mattress models, so instead of guessing, you can find one that actually fits how you sleep. For me, switching to Helix made a real difference. It's comfortable, it feels high quality, and it's built to last. And for summer, the cooling upgrades are huge. If you're trying to get real rest on hot nights, that matters. Helix also ships straight to your door for free in the US, and you get a 120-night sleep trial, plus a limited lifetime warranty. They're also the most awarded mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. Go to helixsleep.com/SRS for 20% off site-wide, 25% off Luxe mattresses, and 30% off Elite mattresses for their 4th of July sale. That's helixsleep.com/SRS for 20% off site-wide, 25% off Luxe mattresses, and 30% off Elite mattresses. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/SRS. Are you familiar with Polymarket?
Yeah. They, and Kalishi, or what are they?
Kalshi.
Yeah, that thing,
That's
yeah.
the other one.
Yeah, everybody's betting on everything, right?
That's right.
What are we betting on?
Polymarket says there's a 17% chance U.S. unemployment hits 5% at some point in 2026. Unemployment's sitting at a 4.3% right now, and traders have put more than $430,000 into betting on where it peaks this year. The crowd gives it about a 1 in 6 shot, 17%, that the rate climbs to 5% at some point in 2026. The odds drop off fast from there. Polymarket gives it a 17% chance unemployment even touches 5% this year. The crowd thinks the job market holds. You've spent your career around the people who actually do the work. When you hear 4.3% unemployment, does that match what you're seeing on the ground?
Where'd that come from? Who's asking these questions? It's a good one. I'm just curious. This is your question?
This is us. This is me and my team.
Oh, I should have known. It says the Sean Ryan Show right on the card. All right. With respect to you and your team, here's a better question. Why does anybody give a shit about the unemployment number? What is that? My friend Nick Eberstadt is an economist. Where is he? I think he's at the American Enterprise Institute. He wrote an amazing book called Men Without Work. It's in 2005. And I used it when I started the foundation I wanted to be able to point to at least one egghead with a bunch of the right initials behind his name to justify some of my underlying beliefs around workforce. And Nick was it. Well, Nick was so right about so many things that the book was republished during the lockdowns. And he writes eloquently and horrifyingly about these deaths of despair and what's happening to men without work. And the number of men right now who aren't working, I mentioned it earlier, but it's close to 7 million able-bodied men who don't have work. Are these guys unemployed? I mean, there's 7.5 million open jobs. So Nick argues that the unemployment statistic in and of itself is an artifact of the Great Depression, along with a couple of other economic indicators that simply haven't been updated or revisited to make sense for the times in which we live. And I think he's right. I mean, in a depression, when you had people standing in line for bread in cities all over the country, when you had millions of people out of work and hungry, then you could credibly say that the cure for this disaster is more jobs. We need to create more jobs because those people in those lines, they will take a job that's available. We don't live in that world anymore. We have millions of open positions right now. So you got 4% people unemployed. I'm not saying that's not a small number, and I'm not saying that's not a big deal. I'm just saying who are they? How are they unemployed? Are they willing to move somewhere else? Are they able to move somewhere else? Are they able to retrain? Are they willing to think about retraining? Has their sphincter slammed shut, like many do, when you realize, oh no? Are they able to be unemployed and still live the life that they're okay living? I don't know. And I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. But what Nick would say is there's a much more important stat in that rubric that we should be betting on or talking about, and that would be the labor force participation rate. And I'm out of my lane here a little, and I don't want to say too much of the wrong thing, but in general, the amount of people who are participating in the workforce today is simply not hand in glove with the amount of opportunities that exist. And so to have a 5% unemployment rate in 2026, what does that mean for those who are unemployed? I know right now there are nearly 7 million able-bodied men who are able to live fairly comfortable lives without working. And they're not trust fund babies. Something's going on. Now, Nick goes deeper in his book, which you will dig. I recommend it. Really, it's kind of a wonky academic look at labor.
I like it.
Dude, it's just so insightful because, of course, Nick just doesn't leave it alone. He's like, okay, 7 million people, men mostly, not working. What are they doing? What are they doing? Well, part of the answer is what aren't they doing? They're not volunteering down at the local food bank. They're not involved in their church. They're not involved with the JCs or the Rotarians or the Boy Scouts or the Future Farmers of America or the 4-H Club or the Lions Club. They're not involved in their community. They're not involved in civic organizations. They're not doing anything, man, except one thing. On average, they're spending in excess of 2,000 hours a year
Behind a screen.
on their screens, swiping left, watching clips, basking in the warmth of our guests, maybe, or looking for love, or pretty deep well of bottomless pornography over there too. They're doing these things, and they're all in. They're in it, man. 2,000 hours. They're, what is it, 50? They're 2,080 hours a year, in work weeks. They're working full time on their screens, dude. These guys unemployed. I don't dispute that they're not working. I just quite don't know what to say about the cohort without painting with too broad a brush. But it worries the hell out of me, man. That the skills gap is hard to talk about. And the reason you don't hear a lot of politicians talking about it is because it's not a very flattering indicator of who we are as a people. To have so many people sitting out and so much opportunity sitting there. And because we're in this crazy hyper politicized time, we have to make it political, and people ask me every day, well, what's up? Why do we have 7 million open jobs? I'm like, well, look, it's complicated. I'll give you my theories, but they don't want theories. What they want to hear is, my buddies on the right want me to say that the reason you've got all these people unemployed is because they're lazy, and our system enables their laziness, and we haven't allowed them to hit bottom. We haven't removed the safety net, so their sphincters can't slam shut in fear, and they can't reorient themselves. That's what my friends on the right want me to say, and they get pissed when I don't. My buddies on the left, what they want me to say is, well, the skills gap is a myth, Mike. It's just a question of economy. If these greedy, rapacious capitalists who control all the money and pull all the strings simply paid a better wage, why those people would run straight in to the workforce. That's what they want me to say, and they get pissed when I don't. Now, personally, I don't think either side is entirely right, because I think both sides really do paint with a super broad brush. I think there's truth in both, but it's an artifact of the Great Depression, that unemployment number. And we live in a totally different time, and we are entering yet another time. And I don't want to sit here and pretend to have a crystal ball. I don't. But man, I know that both sides are dug in. And this thing is going to be so politically fraught. Vocational education and work itself is going to become highly political this year. And that's a shame, because at the moment, it's still one of the few things that I think are truly bipartisan in nature.
Jensen Wang keeps saying, that the tradesman is going to be the next millionaire class of people. What do you think about that? Do you think there's truth to that?
I know there's truth to it. He and I are destined to meet. We haven't yet, but I shared, this is a good little anecdotal sidebar. I woke up a couple months ago. I was home, made the coffee. It had just kicked in. I sat down and Davos was going on. And the first thing that popped up is this conversation between Jensen and it was Larry Fink, BlackRock. And that's where this conversation started. That's the first time he described the AI technology as a 5-layer cake, and he really laid it out in a way that's super simple for people to understand. But that's when he said, this all comes down to our ability to reinvigorate the workforce. And, if you're me, like if you've been beating that drum for the last 18 years and you're sitting there in your bathrobe with your hair sticking up in the air, trying to get caffeinated, what would you do? And what I did was I backed up the video, I turned my computer around, and I hit play, and I filmed me watching this conversation. And then I took that video, and I put it on my social channels. And within 2 days, like 3 million people had seen it. And I'm talking to BlackRock now, and I'm talking to Meta, and I'll get to NVIDIA because they're all here. But millions of people saw that exchange with me basically watching it and nodding and saying, attaboy. So to answer your question, I'm not betting against Jensen. He's right. And anecdotally, I have 1,000 success stories to back it up. And people are interested. That's my point.